Hello, my friend, and welcome to Security and Secure, hosted by me, Johnny Seifert. This is a celebrity mental health podcast where I say it's okay to not be okay. And if you have the same mantra as me, then wherever you're listening or watching, click that 5-star rating, click the subscribe button, click the thumbs up or the 5 stars, and let's keep spreading the word it's okay to not be okay. And let me tell you about my guest today. My guest today, you all know, as part of the Bake Off family 2 years ago, where he finished in second place, even though he should have won. Since then, he's gone to be the ambassador for the National Autistic Society and has brought out his brand new book, a beautiful book, Good Vibes Baking, which is out to buy now. So without further ado, I'm delighted to welcome to Skidisco. It's Sandro Farmhouse. Hello, my friend.
Hello, hello. Hi, everyone.
Everyone loves you. And when you did not win Bake Off, I don't think there was a single person that was not in shock
What can I say?
that you should have
Well,
won.
shout out to yeah. I mean, to be honest with you, it's more about the crown, isn't it? It's about the crowd. So I'll take that win.
Although it's like the X Factor, you actually probably don't want to win because then you've got time to develop. So same as Liam, also who was on Bake Off as well. That if
Yeah,
you win, you kind of get given your book deal straight away, and then you're kind of racing to get something out because you're hot of the moment, and then it kind of drifts off, which is what happened with the X Factor. Whereas what you are able to do is take your time, work out exactly where you want your book to be, what you want the themes to be, and then take your time. And then 2 years later, now you can bring out your book. So why did you want to bring it out now? Why specifically at this moment in time?
well, as together as a team, we just thought about when's the best time to sort of bring it out. For me, everything was sort of so fast track after the Bake Off, where I was straight away back on telly with Lorraine, and I was doing so much stuff and constantly on carpets and stuff. So it would be absolutely bonkers if I was able to get a book out the year after, having to write it, and it's a decision best for my well-being, because obviously if I had to do write the book, get the recipes done, and also go to the red carpets, and also do appearances here and there, and all the other jobs that I do in terms of social media and stuff like that, it will be super overwhelming. I mean, just the time that I was given was already kind of overwhelming. So if I had to have done that in a year and publish it in a year, then yeah, I don't even know how I'd feel at this point.
Well, also, it probably kind of helps as well that people have seen you on Lorraine and on social media. And so you're known as a baker rather than just being, I'm just Sandro from Bake Off, full stop,
Yeah,
done. You know, Bake Off people will know you. You've got a following from there, but also you've got a following from your social media. People have seen you on Lorraine. So I suppose in some way, it gives you a little bit more gravitas. Now, going, I am a baker, forget about TV. Yeah, I've done a bit of TV. And obviously, Bake Off comes with a lot of gravitas anyway, but it means that everyone can treat you as you, not just Bake Off Sandro.
yeah, I feel like so. I feel like I've sort of been identified as an individual rather than someone from somewhere.
Yeah. And so
Yeah.
your book's called Good Vibes Baking. What do good vibes look to you, Sandro?
It just means to be in your own bubble, having a good old time with yourself, and knowing that, you can shut away the world. Even great times are sometimes overwhelming. Sometimes taking that moment to yourself, whether you're baking in the kitchen alone, is just good for you, regardless of whether you're going through a high or if you're going through a low. I always encourage everyone to have some self time to themselves on their own, where they can just be exactly who they are with no one there to judge, and yeah, that's what it's about, really. Just having a good time, enjoying your own company.
So when you are baking, there are long bakes, long kneading processes. What is your setup like? So obviously you're in the kitchen, but do you have music playing or are you in your own mind just thinking about whatever? What is your actual mental setup when you are in that I'm going into baking mode now?
It really depends on the mood and what I'm baking. Why am I baking? So there's moments where I'm probably just, if I'm not baking for content creating, then I've got Netflix on in the background, and it just takes me all day to finish one project, but I'm enjoying it because, well, I'm watching my favorite shows and I'm just in my own bubble. And then there's moments where I have to sort of crack on a little bit. So that's when I will have like some music on, or no music at all. So it really just depends on the mood for the day and why am I doing it.
Well, what I love about your book, Good Vibes Baking, is I love the way you've split it up into topics and you've made topics that are very mental health related. So let's go through some of those. So the first one is confidence. So what does it take to make you, Sandro, the confident extrovert person that we know and love?
Confidence is not something that you can just work towards or just be. You have to constantly work with it, because there's moments in life where you don't feel so confident. But even in those moments, what I tell myself is, well, I'm going to fake it till I make it. I'm constantly put in front of people where I have to speak to them, and not all the time do I feel confident about it. But I just say to myself, well, I'm here now. I'm just going to be myself and, hope for the best, sort of thing. But I would say what works for me in terms of confidence is the self-belief that I'm enough, sort of thing. Like, I'm good enough. What I do is good enough. And we're all just humans just trying to make it in this world.
Where does that come from? When have you felt not enough?
Did I feel good enough when the new series of Bake Off came out again after my season? Not so much, because here's a new bunch of bakers, a group of them that are incredible in their own rights, and am I going to be forgotten? Am I still going to be remembered? Am I going to be relevant? All these different thoughts come into your head. So that's one moment where I didn't feel so confident. For me, I've had such a really big success after the show that not everyone got. And not to speak on anyone else's life, but the person that won my season's gone back to work, for example, and is not pursuing how she wanted to pursue, I guess, after the show. So in that sense, it's kind of like, what if someone had come out, done better than me? I'm now pushed to the side, and I'm not trying to go backwards in life as well. I love what I do now. I love the person I am, person I'm becoming, the impact I'm making. And it's just scary when you're like now put again, I almost felt like the competition started for me after the show.
But the
And it's
only
something that,
person you're competing with is yourself in that, because no one else is
well,
thinking, oh, look, that person was from 2022, and oh, now we've got 2023's cast, and then we're going to have 2024's cast. The only person you're competing with in your head is yourself, and that's obviously the worst place to do it.
well, yeah, that's where practice happens. That's where you then have to practice your self-confidence. And I've had to practice different things and had to think to myself, okay, is this really what's going to happen? What makes me different? What makes me special from the rest? And then I had to pinpoint those points, like, and be a bit kinder to myself in terms of like, okay, but you are different from the rest, and that everyone is different, so everyone has a place in wherever they go. And I'm a strong believer in what's written for you is done. Do you know what I mean? You've got your destiny of where you're going anyway, so nothing can really change that. But no, it's tough though. To me, it's, and you get thrown into the industry, for example, with myself, and managements are good and stuff like that, but there's the element of everyone's experience is so different, so they can't even really advise you on how you will be or how you will deal with things until you actually start dealing with those things. And there were so many overwhelming moments where I did have a self-doubt and I did have a lack of confidence, or moments where I'm like, oh my God, like this is too much for me, but I don't want to stop, because if I stop, am I still going to be able to continue?
And the
Do you know
problem
what I mean?
is, if you have a therapist through this experience as well, as they haven't gone through those processes, and then the duty of care that Bake Off would have had to you, those therapy sessions would have ended, and so you are kind of lost of going, well, who can I actually turn to for advice? Who's got my best interest, but also who has actually experienced it? And as we all know, no one's actually walked in your shoes. You're the only person who's ever done that.
I recently had a conversation with one of the producers from Bake Off in terms of how they can support people outside after the show. But one of my suggestions were like, how about have different people, myself and other people, whether they've had success after the show, whether they've gone back to normal, tell the reality of things. It's not easy to be a content creator, and sometimes you don't get an engagement after working 8 hours on a project, on a cake, and maybe just a couple of hundred people like it. And even though it shouldn't be something that validates you, the fact of the matter is we are in this world where we are validated by how other people feel about us and how other people perceive us on the internet and on our socials account. And however many likes we get, however many followers we get, is something that I think everyone on social media struggles with.
But it's interesting because we mentioned the duty of care. You look at a show like Love Island and what's happened there, their duty of care and how amazing it is. But also the experiences they're going through and the drama they're going through is very much relationship based and very much about their identity. Whereas when you do a show like Bake Off, you're not necessarily on that show to be famous. You're there to be part of the family, and your cakes are what's selling for you. You know, it's not necessarily your personality that's a byproduct. It's the cakes, and the cakes are what people are watching. And then the show finishes, and then everyone else has moved on to the next show. And yet, you're right. When it comes to yourself, for example, and other contestants, when you've got the cameras in front of you and you get used to that way of being, when the camera stops and you go, well, who am I now? And yeah, you'd all do your Bake Off reunions and, you know, you go around the country seeing your other contestants, which is all lovely. But you're right. It's that, now what? What's next? You know, it's like I speak to a lot of Love Islanders who go, well, I want to go on Steps Go Dating now. I want to go on X on the Beach now. And they know that TV path to go down. Whereas when you do Bake Off, it is where do you go? I mean, you're very lucky to get Lorraine. So where does your head then go? How did you deal with that and actually work out a process, apart from management, who can kind of look at who's going to give you the next paid gig? But for yourself, where did that validation come from, or for what was next?
I'm still working on that. I'm still working on the self-worth of it all, and why am I even doing this, and the purpose of it all, and I guess all of that. Because again, it's like my first sort of my last year was my full year into it, so this will be my second year, and it wasn't hard. I mean, it wasn't easy last year to go through it all. So I'm sort of, let's say, if I've just had an accident and now I'm healing almost. So that's sort of what's going on this year. Is I've learned so much from last year. Now I'm taking it on this year whilst I am readjusting myself and knowing better who I am, better who I don't want to be. I love the social media game. I love the fact that I can make an income from social media, but do I want to be just social media? No. You know, do I want to have a place in the world where I've actually made a change in the world, whether it's small or big? Yes. So it's things like last year, I didn't focus on my project Baking on the Spectrum because I was so busy with everything else that was surface. I could have done something that was more change related and actually had a better impact than I had by just doing all the surface stuff. So that's where I'm sort of transitioning to now. But you know, it's a challenge. The whole thing is a challenge. It's you're still thinking no one's I'm not working for anyone now. I'm working for myself. There's no one telling me how and what to do and what time to be there for and stuff like that. So that on its own is a big change for me.
It's something also to reflect on when you take a step back of going, look, when I was 21, I lost my father and I had to navigate, you know, who I am and what I'm going to do about that father figure in my role, whilst navigating your 20s of who you want to be. As you start working that out, you then get Bake Off. That then takes you up to your 30s. We're the same age. And so you're going, well, how do I define myself in my 30s? And yet, as you say, this is only your first full year now where you're going into this post-fame, post-Bake Off, post-followers, that you're now still having to work out who you actually want to be. Whereas other people, for example, who are 18 years old and get married, they just know they want to have 10 kids and that's them done. Whereas you've still got to work on who you actually want to be in the world.
I don't really know if anyone gets to that place. I kind of see, like, look at all the options we have in the world. I mean, there's not one type of coffee that we can get. It's like 20 and plus, right? So are we ever really satisfied? That's where I get into my head about, am I ever really going to be satisfied with who I am? Or is that ever going to be enough? So there's a lot of self work that I've got to do to really figure those things out. You know, in terms of like being validated from social media, I've stopped those behaviors. So I now post when I want to and create what I want to, and like it, don't like it. It's not really about the likes anymore. It's more about I'm doing it because now I want to do it and I feel good doing it. So that little small step that I made in terms of changing why I do things for socials has already helped me big time, because I don't overconsume myself with trying to be the next best thing on social media. Because I also look at people that have a high following and have high engagement compared to the people that we see regularly have jobs on TV and on, you know, they're constantly on, they're constantly working. The followings don't match. So it tells me that it's not really about the internet and the social media. It's really about your CV. you know, what your work ethic is.
Well,
And
it's true, but then when you look at TikTok now, and everyone is saying you've got to post 4 videos a day, and you've got to do it this time, this time, and this time. You need to use these amount of hashtags. It is so over-consuming that it becomes a business, and you lose that passion. And what you've done for yourself is found that passion again of going, I want to celebrate the bakes that I do. I want to lift your spirits through my cakes. Little chapter of your book, very good chapter, and actually enjoy what you're doing. Have you had therapy to get to that stage, or did you just do it yourself? 'Cause that's quite a bold statement and a bold move to make when we're all trying to navigate this weird world of TikTok now.
no, I just sort of, got there myself. Just a lot of thinking, a lot of like, really tapping into how do I actually feel when I do go ahead and post these things and spend all this time. And then, it came to a point where I was constantly telling people, oh, I'm working, I can't do this because I'm working. Everything's work. And if I do go out, it's a work event, is because I'm there to network. So am I ever having a good time, really, a genuine good time? Yes, I could have great times when I'm working and I'm networking and going to events and stuff, because all the events are fun. But is it a genuine good time? It's not something that I would have chose to do in my free time. Do you know what I mean? So with all of that said, like, I had to really think of the worth of what it is. And then I also thought to myself, we're all so dependent on social media as if it will always be there, when 10 years ago it wasn't a thing. So 10 years from now, what is it going to be?
I completely agree with you. Well, it links to one of your chapters of your book, Sharing is Caring. So, regardless of yourself, where did you start that journey of being a sharer? And as I said before, you are a fixer. So, there was something that happened in your childhood that went, I need to help this world. And you still do it to an extent with your bakes of going, I want to make people happy by seeing beautiful cakes. So, where did that start from of going, I don't want to think about myself, I want to think about everyone else first?
I can't pinpoint when that happened because I've always been that way inclined. Like, for example, when I was younger, going to youth centres, there'll be other youth going there to enjoy the youth centre, where I'll be going there to help out the staff for the youth. You know what I mean? And like, try and make an impact that way. I've always been a community person. But what I would say is, over the past 2 years, actually post Bake Off, I got a bit sensitive to the world. I don't know if you ever read the piece I done with Guardian, and it was a very honest piece. I'm very sensitive to what is happening around the world, and all the different things, all the great stuff, but also all the sad stuff that's happening. And I saw the world for what it is. I saw money for what it is as well. And that itself makes me want to do more to sort of make an impact. So baking on the spectrum is something that I feel obligated almost to work on and to focus on, because that is the only way I can make an impact, using my craft, my passion, to make an impact in one community. But at least it's still an impact, at least it's still a change. And to me, that's just good enough, you know?
Well, you spoke in that Guardian article about your mum leaving Angola, and I think that probably cemented a certain aspect of you going, well, look, who was looking after her? And I never want that to happen to someone in the future. Do you reckon she gave you some life lessons when you were growing up, with her approach of, this is what I didn't have in Angola, but now this is what I've got in United Kingdom, and that's what I want to pay it forward with?
It's always in mind that my mum came here with nothing and has helped us become some, people in this world. And I won't take that for granted and sort of not do nothing with that. There's plenty of other families that, like my mum, African parents, that come to the UK, and their children or young boys end up behind bars or influenced by the wrong stuff. And I refuse to not use my mum's sacrifice to leave her home for something better, for something good. And I wasn't always, I didn't do good in school, not because I was naughty, but more because I wasn't interested like in what school was giving, and I found my way and found my path in life, which was always art, whether it's edible or actually art itself. And I had to find a way to do something with that. So Bake Off was always the mission.
There's two aspects to the art. There's the art and the artist. And linking that to your chapter, It's a Fiesta, your body is covered in tattoos, and there's a lot of art there, but also a lot of symbolism and a lot of meaning to you. So can you take me through the tattoos that mean the most to you and why you got them done?
On my neck, I have a cross, a peace sign, and a love heart because that's, three elements that I sort of live by, which is love, peace, and I would say Christ in a way, because not so much about the Holy Bible and being a Christian or anything like that, but more about, it's a reminder to love thy neighbor. It's a reminder that we're all here, just one sort of people. And I didn't know how other way to put that on. And so then I've got other stuff like I've got my lion in my hand because I'm a Leo, and I take pride in being a Leo and being proud and being sort of lion-like, where I take control of my jungle in a way. Like, I want to write my book. I don't want no one else to write my book for me, sort of thing. I think highly of myself. I've got king written on my fingers. Because, I guess it's just one of those things where if you don't think it, then who else is going to think it? And what is the bother in thinking, like, yeah, I'm royal, like, why not?
But also what the king means to you, because it's almost like a vision board. And the beautiful thing about you having those tattoos is it makes a vision board that's physical. I've got a vision board on my phone, and it's got those things that I want to happen. And I suppose the word king, yeah, we associate it with royalty and we associate it with King Charles and Prince William and Prince Harry. But actually, the word king has so many connotations of being top tier. So what do you want to be the top tier at? Is it the king of baking to be the next Paul Hollywood? Or is it more to be king to myself and to just make sure that I am using those values that have been instilled in me from my mum and being the best version of myself that I never let her down and never let myself down?
Well, I'll say that there's only one Paul Hollywood, so I can never be the next one. I want to be someone that makes a huge impact with food, cakes, fashion, music, and bring that together. I want to impact the culture in a way that hasn't been done before and in an innovating way. And I don't really like doing things that's been done before. That's why my book, for example, going back to you when you asked me why did I decide to come out with my book during May, it was a big sort of discussion because normally cookbooks come out sort of October times and a little bit around then, just around September, October. But I was big on, I don't want my book to come out at the same time as it normally comes out for cookbooks. I also don't want my cookbook to come out like every other bake-off person, full of chapters that say biscuits and cakes and blah, blah, blah. I want to bake it more personal. And I don't always want to be clean in all my pictures. I don't want to take all my photo shoots. If you look through the book, you won't see the pictures I'm always clean shaven. Sometimes I'm rough. Like the last picture, I'm rough. And the first picture, the picture on the cover, I'm very clean. And the last picture just before, yeah, so I'm very clean there. And then there's a last picture, which I'm more rough there. Exactly. I wanted it that way because, well, that's life, isn't it? Sometimes we have the opportunity to clean up, and sometimes we just got to go with it.
Like that one, you got three strands of hair. This is on page 200. On page 207, we can see you've got a couple of little extra hairs just hanging off your beard that just could be a little bit more tidied up.
It is what it is, right? I can't be groomed all the time.
No, you can't, especially when you've got events every week. Because like us, both hairy guys, every week when you have an event, you're like, oh, I need to look really good. And you're like, I'm not going to pay another £20 to the hairdresser when I just went last week. Literally the conversation I'm having in my head right now.
Try 50. £50 is what I pay for my haircut and stuff like that.
How?
Well, because I go through a whole system.
I do the system as well. I do the body as well. My hairdresser knows he's doing my front and back. I don't care. He can do it for me. I'm not doing it.
So I just get my face steamed and, well, this is, you know what? Everyone has a price, right? And I just pay the price. But like, my partner will say to me as well, oh, shave before you go to the red carpet. But I'm like, no, I've just done that. I'm not ready to shave again, and I don't really care. Like, if they, I don't know, what's the worst someone's gonna say? Like,
But is it the
I'm
same for
right.
your partner, that your partner has made themselves look as good as you now because they're more conscious of the way that you look at the media, that they think they need to step up as well?
They're more relaxed with it. They're not too fussed because they're not in the public eye, so it's okay in a sense. I think it's just more so they always want me to present myself the best way I possibly can. But for me, the best way I possibly can is just being myself. And I always say to people, wearing a smile is so much more effective than putting your lashes on. And and doing all those other extra things, that's actually, it's all surface. It's all surface. People can see the deeper person, and that's why I think I've had such a good career after Bake Off. Is people saw me for who I am.
Well, that's brilliant. Your book, Sandro, Good Vibes Baking, it's out to go and buy now. Do go and bake it. And as Sandro says, all those other books come out mid-September time for the Christmas sale. So get Sandro's now before and beat the queue. You've been watching or
Yeah.
listening to Secure and Insecure. If you liked today's episode, then please give a 5-star rating. Please leave a review and click that subscribe button. Let's keep spreading the word. It's okay to not be okay. From Bake Off, also, Amanda Giorgio has been a guest before, talking about her police career and wild swimming and Bake Off as well. So do
Oh,
go and check
nice.
out that episode. And I'm on social media at Secure and Insecure Podcast, at Johnny Seifert on Instagram. On TikTok, I'm at Johnny Seifert92, and on X at Johnny Seifert. Sandro, you do much better TikToks and Instagrams than me. I know a little bit less, but you do a lot more better ones than me. Where can people find you?
Sandro Farmhouse is my handle for all.
Oh, so easy. See, that's what happens on your stuff. You get to use one handle across everything. You've been watching or listening to Second Skill. I'm Johnny Seifert. Until next time, thank you and goodbye.